The night air over Hammond, Indiana, carried a chill, the kind that sneaks under jackets and settles straight into the bones. Streetlights hummed overhead while the quiet town settled into its usual rhythm, families inside warm houses, nurses moving between hospital rooms, and truckers cutting across the interstate. No one imagined that before sunrise, the entire town would witness a scene they'd talk about for decades, one involving roaring bikes, flashing headlights, and a group of men and women whose tattoos and leather vests hid some of the softest hearts in America. Miles away, at the Hammerstone Hospital, a young girl named Lily sat on a plastic chair in the emergency room waiting area, hugging her knees, trembling uncontrollably. Her long brown hair was tangled, her cheeks streaked with tears, and a bruise darkened the corner of her jaw. She was only 11, but her eyes carried a pain far older. Nurse Marcia, a woman who'd worked the night shift for nearly 20 years, noticed the child the moment she walked in. The girl wasn't accompanied by a parent. She wasn't carrying anything. She wasn't asking for help out loud, but the fear in her eyes screamed louder than words. Marcia gently crouched beside her and asked what happened. Lily didn't speak for a long time. Then, in a trembling whisper, she said something that made the nurse's heart twist. "My stepdad, he's coming here." Those 4 words were enough to chill the room. The hospital had procedures for child abuse cases, but the girl seemed terrified beyond policy and protocol. Marcia immediately contacted authorities, but it would take time for police to arrive, and time was something Lily didn't have. The stepfather was dangerous. Lily's swollen lip and shaking hands made that clear. When Marcia asked if there was anyone the girl trusted, anyone who could come quickly, Lily hesitated, wiping her eyes with her sleeve. "There's a biker named Red Hawk. He gave me a card and said if I ever needed help, I should call." Marcia blinked. A biker, but the child's eyes held sincerity. She wasn't lying, and desperate moments required unconventional solutions. Marcia dialed the number from the card. With every ring, her hope dwindled, until a deep, steady voice answered. "This is Red Hawk." Marcia explained everything, rapidly, anxiously, with her eyes constantly shifting toward the front doors in fear the stepfather would walk through them. Red Hawk listened without interrupting. When she finished, the man spoke 10 words that sent goosebumps up her arms. "Ma'am, you keep that little girl safe. We're coming." He didn't ask for details. He didn't ask for proof. He didn't ask for anything. He was already moving. Across the state line in Chicago, at a dimly lit biker clubhouse nestled between an old railway yard and a row of truck shops, Red Hawk stood from his chair and slammed his fist onto the wooden table. "Mount up," he growled to his brothers and sisters. The room transformed instantly. Leather jackets pulled on, helmets grabbed, engines fired. A deafening roar filled the chill night as the concrete vibrated under 65 motorcycles. To outsiders, they were intimidating. Massive bikes, heavy boots, tattoos, and steel. But inside this club, known simply as the Guardians, they lived by a code older than any law book. Protect the vulnerable. Break the cycle. Give kindness where the world has failed. And Red Hawk, he wasn't just their leader. He was their anchor. One girl needed help. That was enough. The convoy tore through the interstate like a river of thunder, their headlights slicing through the darkness. Travelers slowed down, confused by the sight of so many bikers riding with one purpose. Meanwhile, back at Hammerstone Hospital, Lily remained curled up on the chair, her small body shaking whenever footsteps echoed near the entrance. Marcia tried to reassure her, but the girl kept glancing toward the sliding doors. "He always finds me," she whispered. Marcia squeezed her hand. "Not tonight, honey." But inside, she wasn't sure. At 2:27 a.m., the hospital security guard walked toward the front entrance after a call came in from dispatch. "We got reports of a large biker presence heading toward this direction," he said. Marcia stiffened. "How many?" The guard rubbed his forehead. "They said more than 50. Before she could respond, the rumble began. A deep, earth-shaking tremor. Windows rattled. Patients looked up from their beds. Doctors paused mid-chart. Even the security guard stepped back, unsure whether to prepare for trouble or awe. One by one, Like a fleet of giants arriving from the mist, 65 motorcycles rolled into the entire hospital parking lot, forming rows of gleaming chrome and leather. The engines shut off almost in unison, leaving an eerie, powerful silence behind. Then Red Hawk stepped off his bike. Tall, broad-shouldered, gray streaks in his beard, eyes sharp but gentle. He walked toward the entrance with calm, confident steps. Behind him, dozens of bikers followed, not with weapons, but with purpose. People inside the hospital rushed to the windows, stunned. Marcia hurried to meet him, but Lily peeked out first. The moment she saw Red Hawk, she ran, full speed, bare feet slapping against the floor, to the sliding doors. Red Hawk knelt and opened his arms. Lily crashed into him, sobbing into his vest. "You came," she cried. He squeezed her gently. "I told you I would." The bikers surrounded the entrance, creating a protective barrier. Nurses and doctors approached hesitantly, but their fear turned into relief when Red Hawk explained, "We're not here for trouble, we're here for her." And the staff believed him. The sincerity in his voice was unmistakable. But the night wasn't done. At 2:41 a.m., a dusty black pickup truck screeched into the parking lot. The driver jumped out, Lily's stepfather, intoxicated, furious, and roaring her name. Before he could take 2 steps, he froze. The bikers turned toward him as one, 65 pairs of eyes, 65 silent guardians, not a word spoken. But the message was thunder in the air, not tonight. The stepfather blustered, yelling curses, threatening everyone. He tried to push forward. Red Hawk rose slowly, placing Lily safely behind him, and walked toward the man with the calm authority of someone who had nothing to prove. "You put your hands on that child again, and you'll answer to more than the law," he said in a low tone. The stepfather swung at him. Big mistake. Red Hawk caught his wrist midair, twisted, and pinned him in a single movement. The man collapsed onto the pavement screaming, more from shock than pain. Several bikers stepped forward, but Red Hawk raised a hand. "Don't touch him, the law handles this." And almost like fate heard him, police sirens echoed in the distance. When officers arrived and saw the stepfather pinned and the girl clinging to Red Hawk's vest, the situation became clear. The man was arrested immediately. Officers thanked the bikers, some shaking their heads in disbelief at the number of people who came in the middle of the night for one small girl. Inside the hospital, Lily was taken to a room for safety. Red Hawk stayed with her until dawn. The rest of the bikers waited outside the entire night, creating the safest hospital parking lot in America. In the morning, a social worker arrived to discuss Lily's future. The girl listened quietly, then looked at Red Hawk. "Do I have to go to a stranger again?" she asked. Red Hawk hesitated, but then something unexpected happened. A woman stepped forward from the group. Her name was Raven, a guardian with a scar on her cheek and the warmest smile Lily had ever seen. "You won't go to a stranger," Raven said softly. "You'll come home with me, and my husband, and our boys. You'll never be scared again." Lily's eyes filled with tears, not fear this time, but hope. Raven hugged her gently. The social worker approved it quickly. Raven and her husband had already been registered foster parents in the past, and just like that, Lily found a new family, a safe one, a loud one. A loving one. Before they left the hospital, Red Hawk lifted Lily up onto his motorcycle, not to ride yet, but to take a picture. She laughed for the first time in years, and that was the picture that made national news the next day. A little girl smiling on a biker's Harley, surrounded by 65 leather-clad guardians standing proud. Broad shoulders, soft hearts, the kind of viral moment that reminded America that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear denim and ride Harleys. And as Lily grew older, she would often return to the hospital to visit Marcia, the nurse who made the call that changed her life. She grew confident, strong, and full of light. And every birthday, the guardians would ride to her home in a giant roar of thunder to celebrate another year of safety. At the end of the documentary that later aired about her story, Lily said something that touched millions. "They didn't just save me, they gave me a life worth living."